Hi, this is Quick Recap, and today's movie is The Gorge. Two elite snipers have spent a year guarding a mysterious gorge from opposite towers. But when they finally descend, they uncover victims of horrific experiments, ones that could doom all of humanity. In a dense forest, Drasa wakes up upon hearing the sound of a plane arriving. She quickly arms herself, and as soon as a man steps off the plane, she shoots him in the head. Elsewhere, former Marine Levi awakens from a nightmare and heads to the beach to clear his mind. The next morning, he receives a message instructing him to report to the Marine Corps' base. At the base, Levi meets Agent Bartholomew. She knows all about his stellar background as an elite sniper and the fact that he has no close relationships. Because of this, she offers him a job. Meanwhile, in Lithuania, Drasa visits her mother's grave with her father on the anniversary of her passing. Her father reveals he has terminal cancer and shares that if he's still alive by February 14th, he plans to end his life to be reunited with his wife on Valentine's Day. By September, Levi wakes up groggy on a plane after being put under anesthesia. When he asks a nearby soldier where they are, she refuses to disclose the location. She confiscates all of his personal belongings and informs him they're nearing a no-fly zone. He'll need to jump from the aircraft and travel the rest of the way on foot. Levi grabs the gear bag assigned to him, jumps, and eventually opens his parachute. Once he lands, he embarks on a long, grueling journey involving days of climbing, hiking, and camping. Eventually, he arrives at a massive gorge and meets a soldier named J.D., who has been stationed there for over a year and still has no idea where they are. J.D. brings Levi to the West Tower, a fully self-sufficient outpost powered by solar energy with a backup generator, rainwater systems, a vegetable garden, and local wildlife for food. Across the gorge lies the East Tower, but they're strictly forbidden from communicating with whoever is stationed there. The gorge is protected with landmines and fortified barriers along the north and south. There's no bridge or direct path between the towers. J.D. lays out Levi's duties. Every day he must patrol the western rim to resupply the auto turrets placed every 600 meters, inspect the containment fences, check on suspended mines, and maintain the cloakers, devices that emit false signals to satellites to keep the gorge invisible. Communication with the outside world is limited to a monthly radio check-in. J.D. explains the site's Cold War origins. Back then, multiple nations agreed to keep the place secret, to the point that even presidents weren't informed. The mission is simple: prevent anything inside the gorge from getting out. J.D. once thought this was madness, until he witnessed the creatures that guards have dubbed Hollow Men, whose eerie screeches can still be heard from the gorge below. He recounts that in the late 1940s, 3 horseback battalions were sent into the gorge to eliminate the threat. None returned. Since then, the focus has shifted to containment rather than confrontation. After briefing Levi, J.D. leaves to be extracted. At the pickup point, a helicopter lifts him via a rope. When he confirms his identity, the soldier on board shoots him in the head and drops his body in the mountains. A month passes. Levi adapts to his lonely routine, walking the perimeter, doing maintenance, and checking in over the radio. The voice on the other end always asks if everything is fine and then ends the call abruptly. One day, while gardening, Levi notices movement at the East Tower. Through his binoculars, he sees Drasa chopping wood. She sees him too, but turns away. That night, during a thunderstorm, Levi wakes up in a panic from a nightmare. He breaks a glass and, mistaking the noise as an intruder, arms himself. Eventually, he realizes he stepped on the glass, calms down, and notices Drasa watching him from her tower. She turns away when she sees him notice. Another month goes by. It's Drasa's birthday, and feeling lonely, she fires a shot to get Levi's attention. She holds up a sign asking for his name. Levi reminds her they're not supposed to communicate, but she defies the rules, sharing her name and telling him she'll do what she wants for her birthday. Levi smiles and shares his name too, raising a glass to toast her. Drasa blasts loud music and starts dancing. She invites Levi to dance along. He says he's a bad dancer but a great sniper, so she shoots his water bottle. Levi fires back, hitting hers. Then she balances another bottle on her head to continue the game, but suddenly stops. She's seen something moving. Levi peers into the gorge and spots tree-like humanoid creatures climbing the cliff wall. He immediately shoots one, causing it to fall onto a mine and detonate, which brings several others down. But more keep climbing. Drasa joins the fight with her machine gun. Working together, they eliminate all visible creatures. Just when they think it's over, one monster reaches Drasa's balcony. She shoots and kicks it off. Soon, creatures start scaling her tower too. The two continue fighting side by side, using mines and heavy firepower until the threat is neutralized. The next morning, Drasa tends to her wounds and calls it her best birthday ever. Levi sets out to repair the damage and reset the mines. Suddenly, a drone emerges from the gorge and flies away. In December, Levi sets up lights on a tree in the forest to mimic a Christmas tree and places a sign for Drasa. From then on, they begin sharing small activities, making snowmen, playing chess, banging pots like drums. On Valentine's Day, Levi notices Drasa crying beside a photo of her family. She confides that it's a difficult day and wishes he could be with her. Moved, Levi uses tools from the armory to build a launcher and fires a rope across the gorge. The rocket lodges in a tree and causes a fire, but Drasa quickly puts it out and ties off the rope. Back at the tower, Levi gestures to her. He's inviting her to dinner. He slides across the rope, gets stuck briefly, but pulls himself along. When he finally arrives, he gifts Drasa flowers. She jokes that he smells from the climb, so he showers while she lays out clean clothes from a previous occupant. During dinner, they share personal stories about being mercenaries and how this kind of work damages their minds. They dance and end up sleeping together. The next morning, Levi begins his return across the rope. But hollow men appear on his side of the gorge, setting off a mine and cutting the rope. He falls, deploying his parachute just in time. Drasa arms herself and jumps after him with her own chute. She lands in a river, but her parachute snags on a rock. The current carries her into a boulder, making her drop her auto-ascender. She grabs tree roots to pull herself ashore. Meanwhile, Levi is unconscious and hanging from a tree. One of the monsters approaches, triggering him to wake up and start shooting. He falls into what seems like mud but is actually a creature's mouth. Drasa hears the shots and rushes to rescue him, carving the goo off his body with a knife. As they travel back toward the cliff, they hear screeching and see hollow men riding tree-like horses. The riders attack. Drasa stabs one and finishes it off. Levi kills another with gunfire. Afterward, they find that the hollow men were once the long-lost horseback battalions. Wandering deeper into the forest, they stumble upon a ghost town overtaken by mutated vegetation and earthquake damage. When screeches approach, they hide inside a church and discover dozens of skeletons, victims of a mass suicide, likely by cyanide. A giant spider ambushes them. Drasa kills the first, but more come. Levi and Drasa fight them off, but they're soon swarmed. Running low on ammo, they try to escape, but hollow men break in. They fight their way out, and Drasa blasts a wall with a grenade to flee. They find an old military lab overtaken by mutated plants. Inside, they locate a working generator and a vintage projector. A 1946 film reveals this site was a secret multi-nation research base that developed biochemical weapons. An earthquake caused a toxic leak that mutated local plants and animals. Extended exposure caused the scientists to mutate too. The gorge prevented global contamination. In another room, they discover a late 2000s computer showing that Darklake, a private military company, continued the experiments. The towers and mercenaries were there to keep the secret. The Stray Dog Protocol is revealed to be a nuclear sterilization bomb. As they leave, Levi tells Drasa that meeting her made the whole mission worth it. A sudden attack by a hollow man dragging her away interrupts their moment. Drasa breaks free and fights back using makeshift weapons, eventually burning the creature. Levi arrives and finishes it off. Levi finds the uniform's name. It's the first soldier who occupied his tower. Together, they make their way to the site of the initial leak, where mutated creatures are frozen in goo. As they cross, some wake up and attack. Levi cuts Drassa free and fights back, while she sets off an explosion to cover their escape. They discover military jeeps, fix one, and start driving up the wall via rope. As Hollow Men climb to attack, Levi and Drassa fend them off. Eventually, they blow up the jeep and enemies in a massive fireball and climb the rest of the way on foot. Back at the towers, they agree to quarantine separately and destroy the gorge. They confess their feelings and make plans. But the next radio check-in is answered by Bartholomew, who knows about the lab breach. She orders Levi to kill the other soldier. He pretends to agree. Surveillance shows both soldiers were in the lab, so Bartholomew sends a team to the gorge. When Levi and Drassa spot the helicopter, they flee. Drones fire at them, but they fight back. Once in position, they destroy the cloakers, exposing the gorge. The stray dog protocol activates, triggering the nuke. The blast kills Bartholomew's team and knocks Levi into a river. Drassa hides in a cave, waiting. After a month with no sign of Levi, she leaves. But one day in France, while working at a cafe, she sees Levi at a table. He survived. They embrace and kiss. Thank you for watching.